Hi everyone, how you doing? I just wanted to share a thought with you all on something that's been on my mind and heart for the majority of this week so far. And the thought that I want to share with you, as many of you will know, I believe it's in John chapter 8. There's a story that talks about when the Pharisees or the religious leaders bring a woman who was caught in adultery. And just that alone, you know, a woman caught in adultery. So if she was caught in adultery, where was the man? That's for another time. But they bring this woman to Jesus, and they say, the law says that if a woman is caught, or a person is caught in adultery, that we should stone them to death. And they're trying to trap Jesus in this because they know it's written and Jesus is upholding the law. And as I'm sure many of you know, Jesus says, well, you that is without sin, throw the first stone. And then they all start to walk away, the eldest to the youngest, and no one throws a stone. Jesus asks the woman, where are your accusers? And she says, they're all gone. And then Jesus says, neither do I accuse you. And then he says, go and sin no more. And that is the grace and truth that is at work. The law is, if you do this, you will be stoned. But Jesus has such a love and a heart for humanity and for human beings. And I think it's really important that we recognize that. And I think that we would do well as disciples to try and hold that tension of truth and grace. There's a radical middle. Often we have polarized views that it's either this or it's either that. You know, it's either all of these people or it's none of these people. I remember when I was younger and I was around some white friends and they would say something to me like, oh, I hate that. I hate that. They would say things like that with me present, almost inferring as though I'm not one of them, I'm one of them. And what am I supposed to do with that? I am black like the that they're referring to. I am black like the they're referring to. And yet they're talking to me as though it doesn't apply to me. And so when we have people within our space, within our communities that are here and potentially fleeing, seeking asylum and things of that nature, then we have to welcome the stranger. And I know the truth is that we are not the only nation that can do that. Across Europe, there are many other nations that can do that. And that's why we need to pray for our governments so that they make good choices and good decisions. And when we're showing flags, the flag means different things to different people. It probably means something very different to me, to a lot of my white friends. And so we have to be able to hold these things in tension. Yes, there are truths in what's being spoken, but Jesus was all about the humanity of the individual. And we have to be about the humanity of those people that are in our midst, so that they don't feel vulnerable or susceptible to attack or hate speech or anything like that that's going to make them feel other. And so again, we need to try and find, if we're disciples or claiming to be disciples of Jesus, we need to try and find that radical middle where we can hold the tension with truth and grace and love. And I just wanted to share that with you.